Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs, and we got Buzo in the background here. Today, we are going to talk about gems, so let's dig in. First off, before we go deep, we are going to dispel some myths about gems that are going around right now. One is that there is a best-in-slot gem for everybody. There is not necessarily a best-in-slot gem build. You are going to want to build your gems dependent on your class and the content that you want to specialize in, which we'll talk about later in this video. Two, I do want to talk about the rarity of gems, because a lot of people think that if you have a 1-star gem and a 2-star gem, if you level that 1-star gem to be the 2-star gem's level, it's going to have less stats. That is not true. You could take a 1-star gem, level it to level 6, you could get a level 6 gem right out of the pack. And no matter what, they are going to have the same stats. So you don't have to worry about any of that across the board. Third off, the idea that gems have to be completed right now and that they're very important to your build, I think that's maybe true if you are in top 30 PvP right now, but for most players, this is just going to be an okay avenue to get some increased attack and to prioritize kind of killing faster or increasing your CP. So let's go ahead and go through some of the different gems that you're going to encounter and some of the recommendations that I do have for them. First off, you do have the Joker gem, which is going to unlock in that 3rd slot. I am going to recommend almost universally the Crimson Cross gem, which you can get by doing Ardor tier 2. So that can drop from Ardor tier 2. You're just going to want to farm it until you get these gems. You're going to want to level it and enhance it. If you're looking for a gem to kind of fill in the meantime, you could place the Critical Up gem, but really it's going to be, one of those situations where it's just not nearly as good. You could also, if you're running an Earth-specific weapon, put in the Treant Statue Core. You'll notice that it does give a lot more element attack than it does just regular attack. So if you are running a specific element build, you would be okay doing that as well. This is just one of those situations where I don't like saying what's best in slot always, because it is going to change. And I think universally, you're just going to be looking at these cross gems for most people, and probably you're going to be putting in on your earth attack weapons some of these earth gems as well. Now, when we look at defensive gems, that's going to be the clubs right here. And then it's also going to be the heart gems. You have two different options. You have critical evasion, you have critical resistance, and you have evasion. Now, a lot of people do kind of tout and recommend evasion, and I think for specific classes like rogue, evasion is a no-brainer, right? I think for other classes like maybe destroyer, maybe you do want to go for critical resistance. I think it's going to depend on your individual build, but I have been hearing just through the grapevine that universally evasion is kind of the accepted way to go. I personally think there could be cases for critical resistance on specifically destroyers, maybe even swordsmen, but definitely evasion, I would say, on engineer, rogue, and probably witch as well. In terms of the offensive gem slots, you have two choices. You have accuracy and you have critical hit rate, basically. And it really comes down to kind of wanting a balance of both. And I think this is where having multiple gems to slot in depending on what you're doing is going to be really important. For those of you that don't understand how the gem system works in the long run, essentially you are going to get to a point where you are going to have to transcend gems, which means you're going to have multiple versions of 5-star, multiple versions of 6-star gems to awaken it to increase its level cap to slowly get more stats. And the stats that you're getting are pretty incremental. We're talking like maybe making a difference of 10 accuracy in the context of your entire build at max level. On the Korean side, maybe having like 23,000 or more. Right now at level 68, I have about 10,000 accuracy. So these are the kind of small incremental changes post 6-star that we are kind of looking at when we are looking at transcending. And I think it's pretty easy for people to get gems to the 6-star level. So in terms of accuracy, in terms of critical hit, I think there is a case to be made to have multiple sets of both on your character. I think you may want to spec into accuracy first if you are an engineer, because in PvP content, you want that stun to land, right? You want to be able to hit your opponent. I think it does make sense to spec into accuracy as well because of being able to hit opponents in general. I think there are a lot of situations where my character is missing attacks and that's inhibiting my DPS. On the other side, you do have crit, which is going to be very important, not necessarily in PvP, but it is going to be very important in PvE boss fights, right? Because it's going to be all about landing those crits, proccing those crits if you are going to be wanting to get into the top damage numbers, particularly when you start factoring in that you have crit damage enhancement on multiple weapons slotted into your gear. You could quite easily like multiply your damage almost exponentially with critical hit rate invested. I think I was talking with Thin Bear in my Discord server. For those of you that don't know Thin Bear does play on the Korean side, and he had a page where he showed the differences between crit, because we were talking about the crit based formula, because it is difficult to make these calls without knowing the crit based formula. But at level 113, he was placing all of his crit, and it was a difference of like 25,000 crit for his character. And it ended up making a difference at top tier PvE play, almost by tripling his critical hit rate on an opponent. But that was with a initially low critical hit rate as it was already. So even adding crit in the future may not necessarily have the impact that you think it's going to have. So I think accuracy is always going to be the safe bet. I think it's the safe PvP bet. I also think it's probably for the future the safe PvE bet, because I think it's always going to be one of those resources that, you know, is going to be required. And there's so many other sources of this stuff on your gear, on your familiars. Gems are not the end of the world, and so many people right now are talking like they are. Gems are not the end of the world, guys. Gems are just gems. They're a small incremental bonus. Your biggest bonus is going to be from putting the spade gems on your weapons, and I think that's the biggest thing to take away from this video is you want to put these spade gems on, like just like attack 111 and additional crit 42. It doesn't matter if it's crit or accuracy. Just get your first set of gems to 6-star. Make sure you have 6-star gems on all of your bows or weapons so that you get that attack bonus. Just get your first set of gems, whatever you happen to get, to 6-star first. It's going to be really easy and probably in the long run pretty expensive to max out those gems. So you're going to have tons of materials to hit those gems to 6-star in a variety of different forms. Anyway, everybody, I hope this puts your mind at ease for gems right now, and I will catch you guys all later.